Everything you experience in life begins long before it appears in front of you. Every event, every situation, every result first takes shape within your own mind. You are not simply responding to reality as most people believe. In many ways, you are constantly expressing your inner world through the life you experience. The moment the picture you hold inside changes, your outer experiences gradually begin reflecting that new picture back to you. Most people spend their entire lives searching for answers in the wrong place. It is not because they are unintelligent or unwilling to grow, it is because nearly everything they have ever been taught encourages them to focus outside themselves. They are told to fix their circumstances, improve their environment, wait for better opportunities, or hope that someday life will finally cooperate. Yet the truth is that the external world is not the starting point of your life. It is the final expression of something much deeper. That invisible place is your own mind, not your daily effort alone, not your plans or strategies. The true foundation is your consciousness, the collection of beliefs, assumptions, expectations, and stories you carry within yourself every single day. Once this becomes more than an interesting idea and turns into something you genuinely understand, you stop looking outside yourself for every answer. You realize that the greatest change always begins within. I remember meeting a woman whose story perfectly illustrated this principle. For 15 years, she had worked in a career she never truly wanted. She had accepted the job simply because she needed stability at the time. One year became another, and before she realized it, she had built an entire life around a decision she never consciously wanted to make. From the outside, everything appeared successful. She earned a comfortable income. Her colleagues respected her. She had what many people would describe as a secure future. Yet beneath all of that was a quiet unhappiness that had been growing for years. As we talked, she described her life as though it had happened without her involvement. She spoke as if circumstances had carried her in one direction, while she simply followed along. She didn't see herself as someone creating her future. She saw herself as someone being carried by it. So I asked her one simple question. When you accepted that first job in your early 20s, what did you believe about yourself? She sat silently for a while before answering, I believed I didn't really have another choice. I believed pursuing what I truly loved wasn't realistic. I believed people like me weren't fortunate enough to build a career doing something meaningful. Her answer explained everything. She had never been merely drifting through life. She had been designing it without realizing she was doing so. Every decision had quietly grown from the identity she accepted as true. That is why this understanding is so powerful. Whether you notice it or not, you are always constructing your future. Every day you are laying another brick. The only real difference is whether those bricks are placed intentionally or unconsciously. Most people believe reality unfolds in a simple sequence. Something happens, they observe it, they react emotionally. Their feelings seem like a natural response to external events. But the process is actually much deeper than that. Everything begins with an assumption. That assumption shapes the way you interpret situations. Your interpretation influences the choices you make, the emotions you experience, and the actions you take. Those repeated patterns eventually become the life you call reality. In other words, the world is not the beginning of the process, it is the final result of it. Imagine two people standing in exactly the same place, facing the same challenge. One immediately notices possibilities. They see solutions, growth, and opportunity. The other notices obstacles. They expect disappointment, failure, and rejection. Nothing about the environment has changed. Both people are looking at the same situation, yet each one walks away with a completely different experience because reality is not determined only by what exists outside of them. It is shaped by the state of consciousness they bring into the situation. Their inner assumptions filter everything they see. The future you experience tomorrow is being quietly influenced by the inner story you continue believing today. Change the story, and over time the reflection changes with it. That is where lasting transformation begins, not by forcing the outer world to become different first, but by becoming different within yourself. Your inner state is constantly sending a message into the world. That message is formed by the beliefs and assumptions you hold most deeply about yourself and about life, and what you repeatedly experience is simply that inner message taking visible form. If deep down you believe life is difficult, every experience will seem to confirm it. Not because the world has singled you out, but because that assumption quietly shapes what you notice, the choices you make, the people you attract, and the way you respond to every situation. Trying to change your life without changing your inner assumptions is like standing in front of a mirror and trying to adjust your reflection with your hands. You can argue with the image, criticize it, or spend years trying to force it into something different, but none of that changes the reflection. The image only changes when the person standing in front of the mirror changes first. Unfortunately, most people spend their lives trying to polish the reflection while ignoring the one creating it. I once knew a man who struggled financially for nearly 10 years. He was hardworking, ambitious, and constantly searching for better opportunities. Yet no matter what he tried, he always returned to the same place. Money would come in and disappear, progress would begin and then collapse, and every breakthrough eventually faded away. When I asked him what money meant in his home while he was growing up, his answer explained everything. He had absorbed the belief that wealth belonged to other people, that success was for the fortunate, and that financial freedom simply was not meant for families like his. No one formally taught him those beliefs, but they became part of his identity, and every strategy he used was driven by a state of consciousness that secretly expected failure. The moment he recognized this, everything began to change. He stopped fighting the reflection and started transforming the person creating it. Instead of asking how to make more money, he began asking who he was believing himself to be. That single shift changed the direction of his life. Over time, his relationship with money became completely different. New opportunities appeared naturally, and his financial situation improved so dramatically that it barely resembled the life he had been living before. Your life is not being created by yesterday, and it is not waiting somewhere in the future. It is being formed right now by the state of consciousness you are occupying. You are never trapped by what happened yesterday. You are only limited by the story you continue believing today. Change the story within, and the reflection outside has no choice but to begin changing as well. Many people believe they are prisoners of their past. They carry old failures, painful memories, disappointments, and betrayals as though those experiences still have authority over their lives. But the past has no power of its own. Its influence only exists when you continue giving it life through your imagination in this present moment. If your mind constantly returns to old wounds, you are not actually being controlled by yesterday. You are recreating yesterday today. Every time you revisit the same identity, the same fear, or the same expectation, you step back into the same state of consciousness. That state is what continues producing your current experience. This is why the real prison is never hidden somewhere in the past. It always exists in the present. And if the prison exists now, then freedom also exists now. The key has always been in this moment. This is not simply a comforting belief designed to make you feel better. It is the way creation works. The reality you will experience tomorrow is not being determined by today's events. It is being shaped by the assumptions you choose to occupy today. Your future grows out of your present state of consciousness. I remember speaking with a woman who had experienced a betrayal that shattered her ability to trust. Years had passed, yet she had never allowed herself to become close to anyone again. She believed protecting herself meant keeping everyone at a distance. When we talked, I asked her a simple question. What do you honestly expect from the people you meet? Without thinking, she answered, "Eventually they'll disappoint me." That single sentence revealed everything. It wasn't that every person she met was destined to hurt her. It was that she was approaching every new relationship through an assumption that had already decided the outcome. Her consciousness was expecting betrayal before trust ever had a chance to grow. Naturally, every interaction was filtered through that expectation. She wasn't difficult to love. She wasn't unlucky. She wasn't somehow destined for heartbreak. She had unknowingly built her reality around an assumption she had accepted as absolute truth. Once she became aware of it, she made a different choice. She stopped identifying with the belief that disappointment was inevitable and gradually adopted the assumption that genuine love, honesty, and emotional safety were natural parts of her life. The change was not dramatic overnight, but it was real. Within a few months, someone entered her life who reflected the new state she had begun living from. Nothing magical had happened outside of her. The greatest shift had happened within. She stopped building walls around herself and began opening doors instead. This is why the real work is always internal. That does not mean your actions are unimportant. They matter deeply. But action without an inner shift is like trying to steer a ship whose compass is pointing in the wrong direction. You may work harder, move faster, and put in more effort, yet you continue traveling toward the same destination because your inner direction has never changed. Your dominant assumption determines where your life is heading. The moment that assumption changes, your conversations begin changing. Your decisions become different. You notice opportunities that previously escaped your attention. Your reactions improve, your confidence grows, and gradually your outer world starts aligning with the person you have become within. So, how do you begin? The first step is complete honesty with yourself. Do not focus on the beliefs you wish you had. Look at the beliefs you are actually living from. Your current circumstances reveal them more clearly than your words ever could. The patterns that continue repeating in your life are pointing toward the assumptions operating beneath the surface. Instead of asking why the same situations keep happening, ask yourself what belief those situations are consistently reflecting. The second step is realizing that these assumptions are not permanent truths. Many people think something must be true because they have experienced it repeatedly. In reality, the opposite is often closer to the truth. Your repeated experiences have been shaped by the assumptions you repeatedly accepted. You were never uncovering an unchangeable reality. You were continually expressing one. Once you understand that, everything becomes flexible. The third step is making a conscious decision about the identity you now choose to live from. Do not focus only on what you want. Focus on who you are choosing to become. Instead of longing for abundance, begin accepting the identity of someone who naturally lives in abundance. Instead of hoping to be loved someday, begin seeing yourself as someone who is already worthy of love. Instead of wishing for confidence, begin identifying with the version of yourself who already moves through life with certainty. The goal is not to chase the desire. The goal is to embody the state where the desire already feels natural. Finally, remain loyal to that new assumption, not for a few inspired minutes each morning, not only during meditation or while repeating affirmations. Carry it with you throughout the day until it becomes your normal way of thinking, feeling, and responding. Reality is not transformed by one powerful moment. It changes through the state you consistently return to. Whatever you repeatedly imagine becomes familiar. What becomes familiar shapes your identity, and your identity eventually shapes your experience. The world is not working against you, nor is it randomly deciding your future. It is constantly responding to the state of consciousness you occupy. Life faithfully reflects back the person you consistently believe yourself to be. Every situation in your life is responding to the state you have been living from. Every challenge reflects an assumption you have carried within, and every breakthrough appears when you adopt a new one. The world is constantly answering the message your consciousness is sending, faithfully mirroring what you repeatedly accept as true. This realization is not meant to make you blame yourself for everything that has happened. It is meant to remind you of the power you have forgotten. If your life is reflecting your inner state, then you have never truly been controlled by circumstances. You have only been experiencing the effects of assumptions that were created long ago and then left unquestioned. I once spoke with a young man who had applied for more than a dozen jobs and had been rejected every single time. After so many disappointments, he became convinced there was something fundamentally wrong with him. He believed employers could somehow sense a flaw he could not see. I told him something that completely changed the direction of our conversation. They are not judging your worth. They are responding to the version of yourself you are bringing into the room. Then I asked him how he felt each time he walked into an interview. Without hesitation, he said, "I feel like I have to convince them that I'm worth taking a chance on." That one sentence revealed everything. Before anyone had spoken to him, before the interview had even begun, he had already accepted the identity of someone seeking approval. He wasn't entering the room believing he belonged there. He was entering it hoping someone else would decide he was enough. That is not the mindset of someone expecting success. It is the mindset of someone waiting to be validated. So instead of working on interview techniques, we worked on something much deeper. We changed the assumption behind every action. He stopped trying to appear confident and began identifying with the quiet certainty of someone who already knew his value. It wasn't arrogance, it wasn't pretending, it wasn't forcing positive thoughts. It was the calm confidence that comes from no longer questioning your own worth. When he attended his next interview, he received the offer. His qualifications had not changed. His resume was exactly the same. The company was different, but the greatest difference was the consciousness he carried into the room. Once his inner identity changed, the experience began reflecting that change. This is how many people unknowingly spend their lives. They react to yesterday's results as though those results are defining today's possibilities. They allow old failures to decide new expectations. They believe childhood experiences, past disappointments, financial struggles, broken relationships, or current circumstances are telling them who they are. But those things are only echoes. They are reflections of assumptions that were accepted sometime in the past and have continued repeating themselves. The problem is that most people respond to the echo instead of changing the voice that created it. Every time they react from the same fear, they reinforce the same belief. Every time they expect the same outcome, they strengthen the same pattern. Brick by brick, they rebuild the same life while wondering why nothing ever seems to change. If you want a different experience, you must stop living from yesterday's reflection and begin creating from today's consciousness. The true source has never been your circumstances. It has always been your mind. It has always been the identity you choose to occupy. The moment you decide who you are before the world gives you evidence, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop waiting for life to grant you permission to become confident, successful, loved, or abundant. Instead, you claim that identity first, and your actions naturally begin expressing it. That is the difference between reacting to life and creating it. You no longer wait for circumstances to convince you. You become convinced first. Then you allow circumstances to catch up. This principle does not work only for a select few. It is not reserved for people with extraordinary talent or perfect conditions. It is always operating. Every person is continually creating from the state they occupy, whether they realize it or not. The experiences surrounding you today are connected to the assumptions you repeatedly accepted yesterday. Likewise, the experiences you will meet tomorrow are quietly being shaped by the assumptions you continue accepting right now. So the most important question is no longer, what will happen next? The real question is, who am I choosing to be in this moment? What beliefs are guiding your thoughts? What identity are you living from? What assumptions are quietly directing your decisions every single day? Because whatever state you consistently occupy is the one your life will continue expressing. Life is always responding. It has always been responding. The world is constantly reflecting the consciousness you bring to it. So create deliberately. Live from the version of yourself who already embodies the life you desire. Think from that place. Decide from that place. Feel from that place. Do not live as though your future is still somewhere ahead of you. Begin living from the assumption that what you seek already exists within your consciousness. Once it is established there, the outer world simply begins revealing what has already been created inside. That has always been where every transformation begins. Thank you for spending this time with Neville Explanation. I hope these ideas encourage you to look inward with greater awareness and recognize the incredible influence your assumptions have over your daily experience. Carry these principles with you, practice them consistently, and allow your inner world to become the foundation for the life you are creating. Every experience, whether it involves your relationships, finances, health, career, or opportunities, begins with the assumptions you repeatedly accept as true. Most people spend their lives trying to fix circumstances, believing that external change will create internal peace. But according to Neville Goddard's philosophy, the opposite is true. Your consciousness is the true creative force. The beliefs you hold about yourself shape your perception, influence your decisions, direct your actions, and ultimately produce the reality you experience. Change the inner story, and the outer world gradually reorganizes itself to match it. Throughout the script, real-life examples illustrate how unconscious assumptions quietly shape a person's future. A woman remained trapped in a career she never loved because she believed she had no better options. A man struggled financially because he had accepted childhood beliefs that wealth was meant for other people. Another woman expected betrayal after being hurt, unknowingly pushing love away, while a young man repeatedly failed job interviews because he believed he had to convince others of his worth. In every case, lasting change came only when the person's identity changed first. Their external results improved not because circumstances magically shifted, but because they adopted a new state of consciousness that produced different choices, confidence, and opportunities. The script concludes by reminding us that we are always creating our future in the present moment. The past has no power unless we continue identifying with it today, and the future is born from the assumptions we consistently hold right now. Instead of reacting to old reflections, we are invited to deliberately choose a new identity and live from the feeling that our desired reality already exists within us. By remaining loyal to this new state instead of waiting for external proof, we become conscious creators rather than passive observers of life. The world is always listening to our dominant assumptions and faithfully reflecting them back, making our inner consciousness the true blueprint for every experience we will ever have. At its heart, this teaching is an invitation to completely rethink the way you understand reality. It explains that your life is not primarily shaped by luck, other people, past events, or external circumstances, but by the state of consciousness you consistently occupy. Every assumption you accept about yourself becomes the foundation upon which your experiences are built. If you believe you are unworthy, limited, or destined to struggle, those beliefs quietly influence every decision, every opportunity you recognize, every relationship you enter, and every challenge you face. Over time, these repeated assumptions solidify into the life you call reality. The outer world is not leading your life, it is following it. It faithfully mirrors the identity you repeatedly claim within yourself. This is why lasting transformation never begins by changing circumstances. It begins by changing self-concept. The stories of the woman trapped in an unfulfilling career, the man who unknowingly repeated childhood beliefs about money, the woman whose fear of betrayal kept love at a distance, and the young man who entered every interview seeking approval, all reveal the same principle. People do not experience life merely because of what happens to them, but because of the assumptions through which they interpret and respond to what happens. Once each person replaced an old belief with a new one, their actions naturally changed, their confidence grew, their perception expanded, and reality gradually reflected their new inner state. The script also reminds us that the past has no creative power unless we continue recreating it in the present through memory, fear, and identification. Every new moment offers the opportunity to choose a different state of being. Rather than waiting for external proof before believing in ourselves, we are encouraged to embody the version of ourselves who already possesses the life we desire. By consistently thinking, feeling, and acting from that identity, we stop reacting to old reflections and begin consciously creating new ones. According to this philosophy, the future is not something that simply happens. It is continuously being formed by the assumptions we hold today. The world is always listening, always responding, and always reflecting the consciousness we bring to it. When we deliberately choose empowering assumptions and remain faithful to them despite appearances, we become active creators of our reality instead of passive participants, allowing our outer life to gradually align with the transformation that first takes place within our own mind. The deepest lesson of this script is that every human being possesses a creative power that is often overlooked because it operates invisibly. Most people believe their circumstances determine their thoughts and emotions, but this teaching reverses that idea completely. It suggests that your dominant state of consciousness is the true source of every experience you encounter. The assumptions you repeatedly entertain about yourself, your abilities, your relationships, your future, and the world become the blueprint from which your reality is built. Whether those assumptions were formed in childhood, through painful experiences, or repeated failures, they continue shaping your life only because they are still being accepted in the present moment. This means you are never permanently defined by your past. Every day presents a new opportunity to adopt a different identity, and the moment that identity changes, your perception begins to change as well. You start noticing opportunities that once seemed invisible, making decisions from confidence instead of fear, attracting healthier relationships, and responding to life with greater certainty. The external world does not suddenly become different by magic. Rather, it begins reflecting the transformation that has already taken place within your consciousness. This is why true change is never about forcing circumstances or struggling against reality. It is about becoming internally aligned with the life you desire before the physical evidence appears. The script repeatedly demonstrates this principle through ordinary people whose lives changed only after they changed the assumptions they held about themselves. The woman who believed she had no choices remained trapped until she saw herself as someone capable of creating a meaningful life. The man who inherited limiting beliefs about money remained financially stuck until he identified himself as someone worthy of abundance. The woman who expected betrayal unknowingly recreated emotional distance until she embraced the belief that love could be safe. The young man who sought approval in every interview continued experiencing rejection until he entered with the quiet confidence of someone who already belonged. These examples reveal that circumstances are not independent forces deciding our future. They are reflections of the identity we consistently embody. The script also emphasizes that reacting to yesterday's results only recreates yesterday's reality. Every time we allow old disappointments, fears, or failures to define our expectations, we unknowingly strengthen the very patterns we wish to escape. Real freedom begins when we stop allowing external evidence to determine our inner state and instead choose our state deliberately. Living from the end means thinking, feeling, speaking, and making decisions as the version of yourself who already possesses the life you desire. It requires faith in your inner reality before the outer world provides confirmation. Over time, this sustained state becomes your natural identity, and your actions, conversations, habits, and opportunities begin aligning with it automatically. The greatest message of the script is that reality is never fixed or random. It is dynamic, responsive, and continuously shaped by consciousness. The world is always reflecting back the person you believe yourself to be. Therefore, if you wish to transform your life, do not begin by asking how to change the world around you. Begin by changing the assumptions you carry within you, because every lasting transformation is born first in the mind before it ever becomes visible in the world.